Hello everyone, my name is Flying-Apple and my job is to inform, educate, and entertain. All of that and more on the show we like to call The Firo Frontier. Today and next week on The Firo Frontier, we're going to be talking about masternodes. This week we'll be focusing primarily on what they are and what Firo uses them for. And next week, we'll be talking about how many different ways to host a masternode and their respective pros and cons. As I'm sure most of you know, for any cryptocurrency to function, you need a blockchain, a ledger that tallies up the total amount of money that everybody has at one time and is constantly updating. When a user stores a copy of the blockchain on his device and also allows other users to broadcast their transactions to him, then that device is called a node. The beauty of the original Bitcoin paper was that anyone can have a node, creating a peer-to-peer network that eliminates the need for a central authority. As a blockchain gets more adoption, the requirements of hosting a node tend to increase, be it network bandwidth, storage, or computational power. This is even more so for private cryptocurrencies, which use more complicated transactions to be processed. Now, while technology can mitigate this, there's no getting around that without incentives. It is difficult to expect people to host a node voluntarily, and this can lead towards either centralization or a low number of people hosting nodes. We have seen this on other networks such as Ethereum, Bitcoin, and even Tor. Maintaining a strong, decentralized network of nodes is important, as it is through these nodes that a user knows the state of the blockchain. Ensuring that there are sufficient, honest sources to obtain it from make the network a lot more censorship resistant. What's more, the performance of a decentralized network is dependent on the average hardware that the overall node network has. The majority of the nodes have to be beefy enough to process the load of the network to avoid bottlenecks. With all of these reasons, Firo decided to incentivize users to host powerful nodes that are capable of processing a lot of transactions. Just as miners are rewarded for processing these transactions, masternodes are rewarded for hosting the infrastructure. The idea is you stake a certain amount of currency, 1,000 Firo in our case, to host a masternode. Every time a new block is found by the miners, 35% of the block reward is then awarded to the next masternode holder in line, providing the incentive. Now, I know when I first heard this, it sounded backwards. Why on earth would I lock my funds on a masternode, which I still have to power and upkeep, for the chance to make some of the block reward? Why wouldn't it be free? Well, let's follow that logic. If it was free to run a masternode, and if owning one puts me into the pool of people that gets part of the block reward, then I would want to make dozens, hundreds of masternodes, leading to many nodes controlled by a single entity. Furthermore, without a collateral requirement, malicious nodes can be generated with no limit. Hence, the requirement of 1,000 Firo. You have to show that you're invested in the network. So, what else can masternodes do? I mean, don't get me wrong, helping maintain the network is important, but is there more? Oh, you sweet summer child, of course there is. We mentioned this briefly in our very first video, but chain locks are yet another function that masternodes carry out. Right when you think Firo is comfortable with their level of security, bam! They integrate tech to raise the bar. In the blockchain, for a block to be completed, whoever successfully mined that block submits a valid proof of work as the finishing touch. The idea for a chain lock is that in addition to the miner's proof of work, a quorum of masternodes also sign off on that block. This is to help prevent a 51% attack, because now a prospective attacker will not only need to have 51% of the computing power, but they'll also need to have the ability to sway the vast majority of masternode holders. Ruben did a great video on how chain locks work on a higher level, and we definitely recommend giving it a watch. With this mechanism, we not only have nodes that are incentivized to keep the blockchain state, but now they play a role in securing the blockchain as well. Now, some of you may be familiar with masternodes on other projects, and if you are, you undoubtedly know that some projects use masternodes for even more things. voting, traffic routing, decentralized treasuries, and more. At present, Firo has not implemented any of these, as we're not quite satisfied with the proposed mechanisms and game theories behind several of them. That doesn't mean we're sitting on our laurels on this, however. The Firo team is constantly looking over new, promising ideas of utilizing our network of powerful, incentivized nodes. And who knows? If something is interesting enough, you might find it as part of our masternode functionality in the future. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave some comments about what you think of masternodes. This is Spline Apple, signing off.